Your Ford service technician checks a lot of things to keep your car healthy.
Synthetic blend oil change, check. Tires rotated, check. Brakes inspected, check.
They keep your vehicle on the road with a thorough inspection.
Steering and suspension, check. Battery tested, check.
That always includes expert service.
Check.
On even the little things.
Belts and hoses, check. Fluids topped off, check. Wipers and lights, check. All done by an expert Ford service tech, check.
And you get a great deal.
Check.
Right now, get a complete vehicle checkup with the works, just $39.95 or less, with a $10 mail-in rebate, making it just $29.95 or less. So check maintenance off your list at your Ford dealer. Up to 5 quarts oil, taxes, diesel, and disposal fees extra. Rebate by prepaid debit card. See participating Ford dealer for exclusions and rebate details through 3/31/14.
Fink's Car Care, with locations in Chesapeake and Portsmouth, is your dedicated Tire Stars dealer. At Fink's, their experienced staff specializes in brakes, steering, suspension, tune-ups, oil changes, and much more. They also handle rebuilt engines and transmissions, and they're your destination for tires, rims, and towing as well. Fink's is located at 2236 South Military Highway at 2711 Victory Boulevard. For more information, log on to finkscarcare.com or call 545-3573.
Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bickaveris.
All right, thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us on this very nice Wednesday, March 5th already, 2014. Don't forget, clocks go forward this Sunday right here. Of course, this is Sports Scene. Save the date every Wednesday from 12 to 1. This is your interview show right here in Hampton Roads, always right here on 1650 AM News Talk 1650. Also, tunein.com. Anywhere in the world, type in WHKT 1650, your home for the Admirals right here in Hampton Roads. Also, CBS News, Glenn Beck, Laura Ingram as well. Tell your friends about 1650. Find me on Twitter at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV. Thank you to our military each and every day for what you do. Great guest lineup as well. And the guest lineup is presented by Luigi's Italian Restaurant in Newport News. Go by and see Sonny and Vinny right there at 15400 Warwick Boulevard in the Denby section. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Excellent lunch, excellent dinner. In fact, they got a great buffet Tuesday through Friday. The original Luigi's Italian Restaurant. Vinny and Sonny, great pizza, pasta, seafood, appetizers, warm bread, salads. You can't beat it as well, of course. Also, thank you to our marketplace sponsors on GJBTV.com. Hit the marketplace sponsors. You'll see all of them right there. They support this show each and every day. Also, on everything that I do. Also, want to thank all of our great sponsors as well, and also Sluggers, CJ Bell Bonds, all on GJBTV.com. So again, great guest lineup as well. Like we mentioned, we're going to talk to Ian Locke, the Media Relations Director for the Norfolk Tides. Also, Scott Garceau from Baltimore, talking Maryland sports as well. He was the former voice of the Baltimore Ravens when Ray Lewis played there as well. In our business spotlight, which is very popular at the end of the show, we're talking to Tom Vorlas of the Narrow Theater. All that and a lot more coming up after these messages right here. This is Sports Scene on News Talk 1650.
Excellent Italian food is found at Spaghetti Eddie's, a neighborhood restaurant with a great family atmosphere and delicious Italian cuisine. Define Spaghetti Eddie's. New York-style pizza, pasta, subs, calzones, soup, salads will bring you back again and again. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Greenbrier and Western Branch. Quality Italian food is at Spaghetti Eddie's.
The
the place the locals and tourists go for U.S. rare coins and currency, is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. silver and gold coins, provide free verbal offers, and are always buying U.S. rare coins. Visit them at 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, Tuesday through Saturday, and online at newcastlecollectibles.com. Call 609-3633. That's 609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles.
And you got to love that NBA music. Still March Madness going on. Big month right here in Sports Scene right here. Again, at Greg Bick on Twitter. Sports Scene every Wednesday live on the radio right here. Premier showcase event right here in Hampton Roads. Of course, don't forget Sports Highlights, a show that I host on nnpstv.com coming up, and some more great announcements coming up during our highlights section, and also what tees me off as well. All great sponsors right here. Let's welcome our first guest. He's been on Sports Scene before with me in the past. Also Sports Highlights on nnpstv.com right here at 11 after the hour on this Wednesday. Let's welcome Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides. Ian, welcome.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, my friend. And, of course, right in the middle still with the Admirals, but the Tides are really getting under full swing. The big exhibition coming up March 29th against the Tides and the Orioles, that is. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting up here actually in the press box right now looking out in the field, and it doesn't look like baseball weather anytime soon.
No.
Got a little snow the last couple of days. But, 24 days away from the Orioles taking on the Tides here. That's a Saturday, the March 29th, where the 3 o'clock game here. And the tickets go on sale this Saturday, 10 a.m. here at Harbor Park. So, it doesn't feel like baseball's in the air, but it certainly is around here, around this ballpark. We're all kind of working hard, getting ready for the season start, less than 4 weeks away. And,
of course, there's always a couple college exhibitions. Talk about those as well.
Yeah, we'll be so after the Orioles play the Tides on March 29th, the Tides will actually play Norfolk State in an exhibition on Tuesday, April 1st. That's 2 days before our regular season starts, and that's a great opportunity for Norfolk State. They do a great job with selling tickets, getting fans out here, and that's a great opportunity for our players to kind of get used to playing under the lights at Harbor Park before the actual games that count in the standings begin a couple days later. And then later on in April, the Tides, Old Dominion is actually going to be playing UVA here at Harbor Park in late April. So we got a couple colleges playing here at the ballpark, and baseball is right around the corner.
Talking to Ian Locke right here, Media Relations Director of the Norfolk Tides. Greg Bick, glad you're with us for a Sports Scene. Of course, right here on News Talk 1650, your 10,000-watt powerhouse in Hampton Roads. CBS News always at the top of the hour. You're home for the Admirals as well. And, of course, you're starting March 24th, folks, the Tides commercials and promos right here for the rest of the year. Of course, the Tides and the Admirals are all part of the same family, right, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, we're all falling under the Ken Young umbrella here, but, we work a lot with them, and they help us out over here. So we're happy to play off each other, make everything work well.
Well, you talk about the weather, of course, but you have some upstate background in New York. There, this is nothing compared to that, of course.
Yeah, this is what's referred to as a dusting up there. But I actually went to school in Ithaca College in upstate New York, which is about an hour south of Syracuse, and we had. I remember specifically, I graduated college on May 19th, and we had 4 inches of snow in mid-May. So that was something we were just used to up there. And I moved south away from that for partly because I didn't want to deal with the snow all year round. And unfortunately, this winter, of all winters, has been pretty brutal. But hoping to see this stuff melt. I know it was a tease on Sunday with the 70 degrees, but it looks like it went right back to the cold and snowy dreariness we've had this whole winter.
Well, the people that grew up here in Hampton Roads remember in 1980 the big snowstorm they had in March, and of course, it's still, just don't think too much of it because in a few more months it'll be Christmas shopping again. But we have a lot of baseball, a lot of spring and summer coming up. Of course, talking to Ian Locke of the Norfolk Tides. Greg Bick, glad you're with us. Of course, there's nothing like a day at Harbor Park before they used to play at Met Park. It's really a fun family event.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a great place it's a gorgeous ballpark. To sit outside, just, have the breeze coming off the Elizabeth River, watch the AAA team for the Orioles. One night you can see them playing here, and the next night on TV, playing against the Yankees. In the ballpark, we've been doing so many things around here to get ready for the season. The last couple of years, we've added some new things. We did a field renovation project this year where we completely redid the entire grass field so that the playing surface is, up to par. We've added a bunch of extra scoreboards last year, and this year we added a new terrace landing down the right field line, which is just in front of the Hits the Park restaurant. That's going to feature 4 top tables right in front of the restaurant. It's going to should be a great spot for groups and families. It has a great view of the field and the Elizabeth River. So just another thing where we're trying to spruce up the ballpark. I know it's been since '93, which is 22 years, I believe. So trying to keep things fresh and new, and make it a great place for people to come out and watch a game.
12:15 right here in Hampton Roads. This is Sports Scene on News Talk 1650. Greg Pickaveris, glad you're with us, talking to Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides. And we talked about that field when I had you on Sports Highlights and also on the radio in the past. Are you pleased the way the field looks since you're looking at it right now?
Well, as I'm looking at it right now, it's covered in snow, so I'm not completely pleased in it. But, it's coming along great. The field looks great when there's no snow on it. So, obviously we'd prefer 75 and sunny every day to help the grass grow, but with our groundskeeper, Kenny Magner, has done a great job all off-season working on it. They're out there mowing whenever they can and seeding it and doing what they need to do to get everything growing in. So as long as the snow melts at some point here in the next couple of weeks, we should be great to go for the season starting up.
I got to ask you before we start talking about Ron Johnson, the skipper, and some of the players. The tolls have been a big issue here in Hampton Roads. It seems like literally there are people that are, especially that know this area very well, are avoiding them like the plague, just running around them, going on different bridges. If you hear Ken Johnson here in the station, he's always telling you about detours and traffic jams 24/7. Is that a concern for you since you start so absolutely you start in March?
Yeah, it's not. Anytime we want fans to be able to get here as quickly and easily as possible. So, anything that does take away from that is certainly something we want to avoid. We've done everything to educate some fans. The ways to get in and out of the ballpark easily. Obviously, the tolls are some unavoidable for some folks, but there are ways around them, and hopefully. They can find those ways and get here and avoid traffic and enjoy a night out at the park.
Yeah, just take 64 and avoid them. That's my solution.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk. Easier, let's talk about your ballpark and ball team this year. Ron Johnson, the manager in his 3rd year, got an excellent pitching coach and a great hitting coach as well. And one thing about Ron, he's always assembled a good staff around him. Yeah,
we're excited. To have those guys back. Ron Johnson as our manager, Mike Griffin, our pitching coach, Denny Walling, our hitting coach, and Jose Hernandez, field coach, we're all here last year, and we were, if you remember, going into the last day of the regular season, all we needed was a win for us or a loss by Rochester to make the playoffs, and unfortunately we lost in extra innings and Rochester won, so we missed out on the playoffs by 1 game. But Ron, the last 2 years, we've been over 500. We were 10 games over 500 last year, 4 or 5 games before, so he does a great job, and he's so much in contact with Buck Showalter on a daily basis. After each game, I'll go down, to his locker or to his office, and he's on the phone with Buck Showalter just talking about the night before. And it's great to see the relationship that Buck and RJ have with each other. If something happens with the Orioles where, unfortunately a player gets hurt or isn't playing well, Buck Showalter knows that he can call Ron at any point and get, a very honest assessment of who he thinks is performing down here. And just like that, you'll have a guy that went 3 for 4 a night here at Harbor Park, and there he is, en masse, and the next day playing on TV.
Mm-hmm. This is Sports Scene right here on News Talk 1650 AM. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT 1650 at Greg Bick on Twitter. Ian, go ahead and give us your Twitter handle yourself.
I'm very creative at Ian Locke, IANLOCKE.
And of course, the Tides have one too as well, correct?
Yeah, Tides at Norfolk Tides, and we also have a Facebook page and a Twitter page and a Vine page and LinkedIn and Instagram. We're all over the place.
It just seems like that's the way it is today, and that's. I want to get Ken Johnson involved in this question too as well. I don't know if you watch the Oscars on Sunday. This is a little bit of since we have a vast audience here of news, talk, entertainment, and sports. And I'll say this: I want to get your opinion. I want to get Ken's opinion on this as well. Back in the let's say back in the Judy Garland days, of course, the heyday of George Clooney and all the great actors, that Anthony Hopkins and so forth. When there wasn't Instagram, when there wasn't Facebook, when there wasn't YouTube, when there wasn't Twitter, when not everybody had a blog or a podcast or a radio or TV or online streaming, And, and there was no Netflix or whatever, Hulu. It was they didn't have much competition. Now you go to movie theaters, sure, some are packed on the weekends, but people are getting their audio and video content by their phones, by their apps, by their computers. It doesn't seem like the movie stars today are as big and relevant with the younger generation because they're not going to the screen. They're watching it in other various platforms, and the Tides have that same platform with their audio and video content on their website. Your thoughts about that as well?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely changed. I've been here with the Tides for 10 years now, and definitely 10 years ago we didn't have a Facebook or Twitter or anything like that to compete with. So you're also looking at on a nice summer night, you got the beach, and the ocean front for folks to go, and you got the ballpark here. But now there's Netflix. You can sit there and stream and watch a whole series.
Sure.
Of whatever show you want to watch, House of Cards, what have you, for a whole night. There's just more competition out there for of stuff to do. So that's why we try and keep creative with different promotions and fireworks and stuff here at the ballpark to make those options more fun for folks. But we do understand that there's a lot of stuff out there. Especially like when you said watching the Oscars. It was one of those things where I'm watching it and there's a commercial. I check Twitter just to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah, I know.
That's just kind of the way things are now. So
Ken, yeah, exactly. And Ken, it seems like some of the luster is worn off the movie star because, like we said, there's so many different platforms that you can see anybody now.
Well, some of that. Oddly enough, I wrote a column not too long ago about the very thing about the shared venues supposedly going down, but actually the opposite has been the case. We're social creatures. We like hanging out. We like being with other people. And anyone isolates themselves and only looks at a television screen or a computer screen, they don't get that shared experience, whether it's going to Harbor Park. If you're not sitting there and feel the breeze coming off the Elizabeth River with a hot dog in one hand and a beverage in the other hand, and you get to hear the crowd and you feel the breeze and you see the players, and it's an organic thing. Same with movie theaters. It's a shared experience. You can sit at home and watch it by yourself, but to sit with other people and hear the reactions and hear the applause, it's a whole different thing. They predicted the demise of baseball parks and movie theaters and places like that decades ago when television first came along and said, well, that's the end of the movie theater. Hadn't been the case, and we're still seeing good attendance at places like Harbor Park and Scope and places like that for sporting events. So I think the luster, for the most part, has been taken off of the movie stars because they're not movie stars. Mm-hmm. They're like 90-day wonders. They come out of nowhere, they make one movie, and all of a sudden they're a star.
Yeah.
No, the Bob Hopes, the Bing Crosby's, all those, they came up, they worked hard, they made their reputation, and by the time they hit the screen, they were already great talents. They're not 90-day wonders. And I think if you watch the Academy Awards, you get an idea. If you look at old films of some of the people accepting awards, they were much more eloquent. Mm-hmm. They were much more capable of speaking expertaneously. Whereas the new guys, they get there and go, oh, well, I'm glad I got this award. Yeah. It's a whole different animal. And I think that's why a little of the luster is taken off of the movie stars for a degree, is because they're not really movie stars. Right. They're actors who just managed to get a good contract, Mila Kunis.
Exactly, right. And not to mention the eating the pizza. And that's a big concern, too, Ian, for the NFL, is that in-game experience for the fan. Because they can, if you have a phone or you got an iPad or you got a computer, you're used to that HD experience that television has. Even baseball's got it, too. But it's still nothing like going to a ballpark. And, of course, minor league ballparks are affordable. Talk about the upcoming prices as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to go on that a little bit. I mean,
sure.
It is a shared experience here at the ballpark. That's the thing. If you're watching on TV, maybe you're sitting there with whoever you're living with, but you go to a ballpark, you're meeting new people, you're experiencing, like you said, the weather, the food, the smells, the ambiance of the ballpark. And there's nothing really, I know there's the TVs are nice and high def and all that, but there's nothing that really replaces, all the senses you'll get when you come out to a ballpark. But as you said, the tickets, we're cheap. We're cheap entertainment. I mean, tickets start as low as $9. Best seat in the house, if you purchase in advance, is $12. I mean, you can't even go to a movie nowadays to get that. So, to get out here and watch these, soon to be major league players out here for $12, you can't beat that. And we have some great deals as well for families and groups and military personnel as well. So it's a great family-friendly environment with high-quality baseball, and it's entertaining too. We do everything we can to give out some great promotions and fireworks, and kids run the bases after every single game. There's not a lot of teams that will allow, fans on the field to run around and experience kind of what the players do. So, we take pride in being a family-friendly place, and we do everything we can to make sure we do that going forward.
Any new concessions this year?
New concessions, I don't know. I know the restaurant has put some new stuff in. I know they've added some new sausages, as well as some new entrees down in the restaurant. If you haven't had a chance to go down to Hitch the Park restaurant, there's some great entrees down there. I know they were putting together some pulled pork sliders, some cold appetizers they were working on down there as well. So I know they haven't. I don't think they finalized it, but they know they're working on some new stuff, and we're excited when they say, "Hey, we need to see how this tastes. Can you come down and check out some of the tasting?" And we'll go, "No problem. I'm always about a free lunch. No problem."
That's it. All right, talking to Ian Locke right here. Final few moments right here on Sports Scene on News Talk 1650. Greg Bicoveris along with Ken Johnson, and of course Ian Locke, the media relations director for the Norfolk Tides. The Tides last year, folks, International League South went 77-67. The Orioles did not make the postseason last year. They did make it in 2012, but they've been very consistent under the former Yankees manager Buck Showalter as well. And you talk about the Orioles, they're always evolving too, just like the Tides are.
Yeah, I mean, they've had, like I said, 2 years ago when they made the playoffs, and last year they were competitive, really going into September. They had a kind of a rough stretch there at the end to knock them out of contention. But, they've been, the American League East is such a tough division with the Yankees, the Rays, the Red Sox. Even the Blue Jays have, spent a lot of money on players. But going into this year, the Orioles have, really added some new players with Ubaldo Jimenez, Nelson Cruz. They signed Johan Santana yesterday to a minor league deal. So there's a pretty good chance we're going to see the two-time former Cy Young Award winner here at Harbor Park this summer. They signed Santana yesterday to a minor league deal for a one-year deal, and he's coming off shoulder surgery, so he's not maybe not throwing as hard as he once was. But if he can capture some of that magic that made him so successful over a 10-year stretch. That'll be a great addition for the Orioles to have, and it'll be exciting. I know, I'm excited to meet him and have him here. If he does show up, it'll be nice to see, him, as long as, last couple of years we've had Miguel Tejada and Dontrelle Willis and Jamie Moyer and some other big names that have played for the Tides. A guy like Nate McLeod who came down, kind of off the scrap heap, if you will, and then played for the Tides, played well, and then was starting and playing phenomenally for them, for the Orioles in the playoffs. So, the Orioles have done a great job signing, some free agents that have, to minor league deals, and they've worked out really well for them to help them be competitive at the major league level. Yeah,
there's something for everyone. Baseball, of course, this year on Fox Sports 1, Fox, the ESPN family of networks, MLB Network, Turner, it's all over the place. And Ian, leave us a final thought. The phone number there is 622-2222, Facebook page, website. Give us the whole rundown. Yeah, so basically, again, the tickets for the Orioles exhibition game go on sale this Saturday at 10 a.m. They'll be on sale here at the ballpark, on our website, NorfolkTides.com, as well as any Ticketmaster outlets. And, you can find us on Twitter at Norfolk Tides. You can find us at Facebook.com/Norfolk Tides. We also have an Instagram page, Vine. We got all sorts of stuff. So, any questions, season tickets are currently on sale. We also have group tickets on sale as well. So we're excited to start the season. And, any questions, anyone can find us on our website and call 622-2222. A lot of Sue's in there, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have going forward. And don't forget, this show, like all shows of Sports Scene, will be archived as well, presented right here by GJBTV.com. All you have to do is go to GJBTV.com. We've also got ESPN.com as well on our homepage as well. I do some part-time work for them. Was a stage manager for the TV networks, even with one of Ian's friends last year too, ironically. But to make a long story short, all the interviews are archived. Go to the GJBTV.com, click the YouTube link, and it'll take you directly to last week's show. Today's show will be archived at this time tomorrow afternoon. Ian, always a pleasure. Have a good rest of the afternoon. All right, thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. All right, take care. All right, Ian Locke right there, Media Relations Director of the Norfolk Tides.
It's now time for Greg's Highlights on Sports Scene, presented by GJBTV.com Marketplace Sponsors page.
All right, thank you very much, Ken Johnson, and thank you to Ian Locke right there, and also you chiming in too as well, Ken. GJBTV.com, archive shows. Click the YouTube link. Shop on the Marketplace sponsors, great sponsors as well, like CJ Bail Bonds, of course, Sluggers in Suffolk, right there at the Egg Bistro as well. Save the date each Wednesday for the show, live and local from 12 to 1 p.m. Save the date for the Newport News Creek Festival, May 29th to June 1st. For more, log on to newportnewscreekfestival.org. We now have a date for my mother's Memorial Tennis match. The former National Teacher of the Year will be April 16th at 5 o'clock at the Hampton Tennis Center. For more on that, log on to gjbtv.com. Look at the save the date icon. Unbelievable. In the NBA, the Sixers started off 3-0, and they have been in the tank since. Congratulations to Hampton's Allen Iverson for getting his number retired last week. Big boxing updates. Canelo Alvarez versus El Paro Angulo on March 8th coming up this weekend at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And Floyd Mayweather is going to box again. Always a treat, kind of a showcase event against Marco Maidana on May 3rd. Kind of like Sweet Pea Whitaker, always an event when he boxes. We have CBS News coming up. More great guests right here on Sports Scene. Stay tuned.
I was so inspired by Ian, I just had to crank out the little take me out to the ball game. Now I want a hot dog and I want to go sit by first base. I'll have to talk him into it. Let me call Ian and get some time. Anyway, stay tuned. More Sports Scene coming up in just a little while, including a look at some upcoming events that I guarantee you'll want to participate in. And you can always follow the show on Twitter and Facebook as well. CBS News is next with an update, and then we'll be right back with Greg Bicoveris and Sports Scene right here on K-Talk 1650, coming up on 1231.
CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan. In Paris, no direct meetings between Russian and Ukrainian diplomats, but Secretary of State Kerry is meeting now with his Russian counterpart. CBS's Margaret Brennan is covering.
The U.S. wants Russian troops to return to their barracks and to recognize Ukrainian elections in May to establish a new government there. But the U.S. and Europe think direct talks between Russia and Ukraine is the best way to find a diplomatic way out to avoid military conflict.
Heather Conley at the Center for Strategic and International Studies.
This is very difficult for Moscow because they, in fact, do not believe the interim Ukrainian government is legitimate.
In Washington, economic and defense officials are working overtime on the Ukrainian crisis. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew.
We're looking into a wide range of options, including sanctions and ways to increase Russia's political and economic isolation.
CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan.
Old Town Tavern, in the heart of Phoebus, is your place for a great lunch and dinner. A local place in every sense of the word, specializing in fresh seafood, burgers in a basket, crab cakes, salads, appetizers, and much, much more. Open 7 days a week, Old Town Tavern has live music, pool tables, darts, HD TVs, in a spacious and pleasant atmosphere. They have daily lunch specials, live music, and entertainment. Find Old Town Tavern on Facebook and visit them at 31 East Mellon Street in the Phoebus section of Hampton, with plenty of great parking in the back. Call 251-2636. That's 251-2636. Serving seafood, sandwiches, salads, wings. You can't beat Old Town Tavern. Bringing good food and great people together in the Old Town of Phoebus. Old Town Tavern in Phoebus, the locals' choice. The place the locals and tourists go for U.S. rare coins and currency is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. silver and gold coins, provide free verbal offers, and are always buying U.S. rare coins. Visit them at 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, Tuesday through Saturday, and online at newcastlecollectibles.com. Call 609-3633. That's 609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles.
let's get back to Greg Picovaris and Sports Scene on 1650 WHKT.
All right, thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us. This is Sports Scene right here every Wednesday from 12 to 1 right here on News Talk 1650 as well. And, of course, I want to thank our sponsor for this segment, Peninsula Custom Framing and Lisa Steele. Go by and see her in Hampton at 2312 West Mercury Boulevard. Give her a call at 262-0055. She does it all right there, framing, matting, cross-stitch, cutting glass as well. Open daily right there as well. Peninsula Custom Framing, Lisa Steele. She does a great job, personal service for all your framing needs right there at 2312 West Mercury Boulevard. Personable, friendly. She gets the job done right the first time at Peninsula Custom Framing. Our guest coming up next will be Scott Garceau. We'll be talking a lot of Maryland sports right there. Former voice of the Baltimore Ravens. We'll be back on Sports Scene after these messages. People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
Fink's Car Care, with locations in Chesapeake and Portsmouth, is your dedicated Tire Stars dealer. At Fink's, their experienced staff specializes in brakes, steering, suspension, tune-ups, oil changes, and much more. They also handle rebuilt engines and transmissions, and they're your destination for tires, rims, and towing as well. Fink's is located at 2236 South Military Highway at 2711 Victory Boulevard. For more information, log on to finkscarcare.com or call 545-3573.
It's tricky to rock around, that's right, on time is tricky. How is it, baby? It's tricky. It's tricky to rock around, that's right, on time is tricky.
I tell you, you never know what these producers play for bumper music, and I'm sure our next guest can relate to that, especially when you worked with a young lady a few years ago. We won't mention her name, though. But anyway, great to be on right here on Sports Scene on News Talk 1650, right here every Wednesday from 12 to 1 on your CBS News local affiliate right here, your 10,000-watt News Talk powerhouse right here in the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area. Hope you enjoyed our first guest, Ian Locke, the Media Relations Director of the Norfolk Tides, who are the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. With that said, the former voice of the Ravens, he's also worked for ESPN, a fixture in local radio and TV in Baltimore for decades. Scott Garceau. Scott, welcome.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Good, my friend. Always good to see you. Always enjoy talking to you when I see you at the Ravens games. And, of course, my sister lives in White Marsh, and, of course, all she says is every other week there's snow, and her and her daughter are trying to get out to go shopping. And what's it like out there today?
We got sunshine. It looks like a little bit of the snow's melting, but we got hit again over the weekend. And I grew up on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where the annual snowfall approaches 200 inches a year. So I was kind of born in this stuff, but this has been a nasty winter for around here. You know, people aren't used to driving in this thing, and they don't clean up quite as quick as they do in, you know, the Midwest and some of the Northeast places. But it's been a long winter. Everybody's ready for spring. I guess the fact that the Orioles are in spring training is a good sign.
And, of course, Orioles are right here, part with the Norfolk Tides, the AAA team right down here. And let's talk about, if a lot of people don't know you from this area, they probably have seen you before on ESPN Classic when, unfortunately, you know, it was 1983 was the last year the Colts played in Baltimore. They see you chasing down one of the reporters, and it still gives us goosebumps to this day because, you know, the first few years that the Colts played the Ravens there were a lot of fans that saw the uniforms and still got very emotional.
Well, it was a tough time transitioning from the 12 years of no football, the Colts leaving in the middle of the night, and Johnny U and the legacy of those great teams that won championships here in Baltimore. And I think older people had a tough time transitioning. If you were young and the Colts really weren't your team, I think it was easier to accept the Ravens when they came in '96. But for a lot of the older people, they didn't like the circumstances. The way the Browns came to Baltimore, it was kind of the way the Baltimore fans lost the Colts. They were uncomfortable with that. They didn't have the horseshoes on their heads. But I think in 2000, when the Ravens won the Super Bowl, and Tom Matte did the games with me. He was a former Colt. You'd see John Unitas standing down on the sidelines. Lenny Moore was close with the team. I think a lot of the older fans that were diehard Colt fans kind of said, hey, if it was good enough for Johnny and Tom Matte and Lenny Moore and all these guys, maybe I can accept this as my team. And I think that was a real turning point. Remember, when they won the Super Bowl in 2000, they had never had a winning season. Came here in 96, 97, 98, 99. That thing kind of came out of nowhere. It was the year where they went 5 games without scoring a touchdown, consecutive games, and still won the Super Bowl. So I think that was really a turning point. And, the Ravens have sold out every game since they've come back to Baltimore.
Yeah, a lot of the talk about when the Ravens were there, and of course they play so close to the Redskins. The Redskins play on exit 17. The Ravens are exit 51 on 95. That a lot of the Ravens fans, Scott, were closet Redskins fans. Was that the case since they were idle for so long, especially the younger kids in their 30s at first?
Yeah, I think there was some of that, and I think those fans on the D.C. side of Baltimore, kind of inundated with reading the Washington Post and watching Washington TV stations. Some of those fans, without a team here, became Redskin fans, and the Redskins were very good. They were winning Super Bowls at that time.
Sure.
But then there was the old diehard, dyed-in-the-wool Colt fan who hated the Redskins because all of a sudden every Sunday the Redskins were on Baltimore TV, and they couldn't understand why this team that they didn't like was on. And they kept hearing about the Redskins. So I think there was some animosity, too, that the Redskins were being stuffed down Baltimore's throat, and that wasn't really Baltimore's team at that time. But I think you're right. A lot of the younger fans without a team got interested in the Redskins. They were on TV every weekend, and those were great teams. Those were the Hogs and Riggo and that bunch. So, a lot of young fans are probably still Redskin fans, never came back to the Ravens.
Yeah, we're talking to Scott Garceau. This is Sports Scene right here. Greg Bicoveris, glad you're with us every Wednesday, 12 to 1 right here on your CBS News affiliate, 1650 News Talk. Also, tunein.com, WHKT. And you know that, too, as well, Scott. When you first did traditional radio and TV, that's pretty much what it was. And now your website, you multitask radio, TV, blogs, everything. It's not like it used to be. And I was telling one of our earlier guests with Facebook, Twitter, all the social content, YouTube, audio, video, that even movie stars don't have quite that luster anymore because there's just so much competition they're competing against with.
Sure. I find it interesting. I got in the business, I guess my first year in television was 72. I started in radio as a teenager in 71. But in the early days, the diehard newspaper guys looked at us as like pretty boys, the TV guys. You're not journalists. What do these guys know? And the funny part is today all those writers also have radio and TV shows. So you're right. It's there's so much out there, and you better keep up or you get lost. In the movement, you'll fall behind. So, yeah, you kind of got to be open to everything that's out there today.
Before we talk about the Ravens here for a second, and we mentioned how the harmony there with the Baltimore-Washington area, because it's so close, especially when you talk about College Park and Landover and so forth, that a lot of the Baltimore-Washington fans both, who live in Maryland, for example, still like the Caps. They like the University of Maryland. That seems like that's an equal part right there.
I agree, yeah. No hockey in Baltimore. When you get to the NBA, Maryland is Baltimore and Washington's team. When you get to the NBA, there were the Baltimore Bullets were here with Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes and some great teams, Earl the Pearl Monroe, and they tried to make them a regional team. What do they call them? The Capital Bullets for a while, and then it was the Washington Bullets. I think some basketball fans in Baltimore are Bullets fans, but I think you're right as far as the hockey. There's never been any competition in hockey. There are a lot of Cap fans in this area.
Absolutely. Talking to Scott Garceau. This is Greg Bicoveris on Sports Scene right here about 12:42. So gracious with his time, talent, and treasure. All right, let's start off with the Ravens. They did not make the postseason. They won the Super Bowl the year before, and all of a sudden, off-season's always a drama. And I want to ask you this, too, because I think you know this better than anybody, can answer this better than anybody. You see a lot of general managers that are very transparent. Ozzie Newsome, to me, seems like he's a real gentleman, but he doesn't come across from this part of the woods or even other parts of the country as the most transparent, accessible person. Is that true or false?
No, I think it's true. Ozzie's low profile.
Sure.
And I think there's nothing Ozzie likes better than locking the office door and sitting back there and looking at tape of whether it's college players or NFL players, and he's great at what he does. Some GMs have TV and radio shows. That's the last thing Ozzie wants to have, and it's not that he's rude to anybody. He's a very likable guy, but he's quiet, and he would just as soon have Brian Billick, John Harbaugh, the head coach, whoever else, be at the podium talking about the team. Ozzy'd rather work at fixing the team, but he's one of the best in the business. When we all get caught up in the emotion, and Ozzy's very calm, looks at the big picture, gets his draft board ready. The Ravens, if you notice over 16 years, different head coaches, different owners, players have come and gone. The one constant has been Ozzie Newsome, and I think he's the biggest reason why they have been a pretty consistent contender throughout their stay in Baltimore. I've got all the respect in the world for him, and I wouldn't want to play poker against him, Greg. 'Cause
oh, really?
He never tips his hand. I mean, you never know what Ozzie's quite thinking.
Oh no! But you ought to see him during game day, as you well know. He goes to that media room, and he's got a stern face on him. He's all business, talking to Scott Garceau right here. And Scott, of course, he is a gentleman, of course, and it's been some unfortunate news with Ray Rice, who did not have a good 2013, who was kind of distant last year with the media and some of the fans as well. But unfortunate, with YouTube and we just talked about all the access these fans have with phones and video cameras at every business now. It seems like he really, really is in some hot water. And to me, it's bigger than sports. I mean, what type of character for any man to do that, especially a man of his stature and physical height? We're talking about his domestic report there with his girlfriend.
Well, I think the one thing Ray has going for him as far as the league, now the legal process will take care of itself.
Sure.
Whatever happens there is going to happen, but you go back to Ben Roethlisberger's suspension. He was never convicted. He was never charged with a crime, but the league, Roger Goodell, stepped in and said, this isn't good for the NFL, and I'm going to fine – what did he suspend him? I think 6 games reduced to 3 or 4. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens to Ray. Now, I don't know length of time, but however this plays out, this hasn't been good for the league, and I think the league will take some action, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ray Rice is suspended for 2 or 3 games, even if nothing happens on the legal end of this thing. And the other part I think about, if we ever do see video, because there have been reports that there is video of him striking her, and I don't know if it's a punch, a push, whatever it is, but if that video ever comes out and the country sees that, domestic violence is such a hot-button issue in our country. The league is reached out for years to try to get more and more women fans. They wear pink for a month. They do the football 101 seminars trying to get more women fans, and the numbers show that there are a ton of women who follow the NFL. It's somewhere up around 40% now.
Sure.
So I think the league is in a bad situation where domestic violence, they can't associate themselves with that. So I think Ray Rice probably – I think he's playing for the Ravens next year right now. I don't think they're going to cut him, or they'd take a tremendous cap hit from a football standpoint if they did.
Yeah.
They could cut him a year from now, and it wouldn't be very severe. But if they cut him going into this year, they'd take a major cap hit. I think the legal process plays out. The league and probably the Ravens wait. I don't think this will be a Ravens action. I think it'll be a league action. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's suspended for a couple of games, no matter what the outcome is legally.
Final few moments with Scott Garceau. Greg Pickaveris, glad you're with us from Sports Scene, about 12:47 here, all around the world right here. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT 1650. You can hear it as well. And Scott will give us a plug before he goes off the air. Scott, Lefty Drizel is from this area, of course, so we interviewed him on the show. He lives in Virginia Beach now. Big fixture here. Went to Granby High School, coached at Newport News. You know the routine. Davidson, Maryland, James Madison, and of course Georgia State. It doesn't seem like ever since Gary Williams left, the luster's there with Maryland. I don't like the way they've changed their uniforms. I don't like the fact they're going to the Big Ten. They're not at the level of Ohio State, nowhere near it, or some of those Big Ten teams. Sure, it's a win-win maybe for football because it's once a week, but it's the other sports, Scott, like basketball, the Olympic sports. They're going to be going to places like Minnesota and Iowa and Michigan, where you're from, in the middle of the dead of winter with no crowds. I really don't know how that benefits, but I think it comes down to one thing: the Big Ten network and more reach.
There you go.
And of course, it's all about television.
Here's the deal. Who went in with them? Rutgers, right?
Sure.
Rutgers, the New York television market. Maryland, the Baltimore, Washington television market. Right. How many millions of homes did they add by bringing those two teams into the league? And I think it was strictly strictly a financial deal as college sports is becoming more and more as we see teams hop in and out of conferences. And Maryland got an offer that they could not refuse. And I know the traditional alumni. I'm not a Maryland alum. I came here in '80 when Lefty was the head coach in football. Bobby Ross had some great teams in the early '80s with Boomer Esiason, and Lefty had Albert King and Buck Williams and those teams. And Maryland sports was cooking. They've had ups and downs since. And I think they're going to be fine. I think Mark Turgeon is a good coach. He's got a top 15 recruiting class coming in next year. It's been ugly the last couple of years. Last few years, even Gary's last couple of years wasn't pretty. I think the Big Ten isn't a geographical fix for them, but I think Big Ten basketball is very good now. Big Ten football, we know what that is, and Maryland's going to have to improve a lot to compete with the upper half of the Big Ten. I think right now, Maryland coming in football-wise, the bottom 5-6 teams in the Big Ten, they can play with them. It's a matter of can they play with the Michigans, Ohio States, Wisconsins, Michigan States, even Iowa. They come in and out, so they got some work to do from a football standpoint.
And last thing I'll leave you, and of course they got to play, the Penn States in the future as well. Too.
Right.
That's in the Big Ten, of course, and it's amazing all the change they've had. And of course, Paterno was there so long. He always had the closed door, no access. But now it's the kid that's there now, Franklin, who was a former Maryland assistant under Ralph Friedgen. Seems like he's total opposite.
Absolutely, outgoing, great recruiter. Did a terrific job at Vanderbilt. And how about Maryland? It's not easy for Randy Edsall. Now he has him up in Penn State, who has great contacts in this area. He's going to be recruiting some of the best players in the D.C. Baltimore area. And then Ralph Friedgen shows up back at Rutgers as the offensive coordinator.
Wow.
And Ralph has a ton of ties around here. And, he'd like to steal a few players from Maryland and Randy Edsall. So recruiting is going to be pretty tough.
Last thing, of course, good to see Ralph coming back because he was a great coach at Maryland, really great personality. The Orioles, I know you put on your Facebook page, what are you more concerned about, the Orioles or the Ravens? Orioles did not make the postseason last year. They still had a very good team. They made it in 2012. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think they're capable. I'm just guessing right now they're probably somewhere between an 85 and 90 win team. If you get to 90, you're probably playing in the postseason as a wild card or maybe even a division champ. 85 probably wouldn't get it done. So they added Ubaldo Jimenez, who gives them another veteran starting pitcher. I don't think he's going to win the Cy Young, but he may be better than what they had, and I think it's starting pitching because I think the Orioles, adding Cruz, who's averaged, Nelson Cruz, I think the last 5 or 6 years has averaged 27 home runs a year to a lineup that already has Chris Davis and Adam Jones and J.J. Hardy and Matt Wieters and Nick Markakis, I think, will bounce back. He appears to be healthier this year. They're going to score runs. They set a major league record for fielding defense last year, fielding percentage, so we know they can field. The thing to me is, can the starting pitching, and it doesn't have to be quite as good as the Yankees, Red Sox, or Rays, but can it be relatively close? If it's a big drop from those teams, they're probably in trouble. And then the other piece to the puzzle is, can Tommy Hunter, who I think will be the closer, can he step in and do an adequate job? He doesn't have to be Mariano Rivera, but you can't be blowing a save a week. So those are the question marks. It usually does come down to pitching. I think the Orioles can field a 1 through 9 lineup with just about anybody in baseball, and I know they can field. So if they get some pitching, it'll be a fun summer.
Scott, go ahead and plug us your Facebook and Twitter, whatever, and also how people can hear your show online.
I'm too old to have Twitter. Jeremy jokes with me all the time. But they can go to our show page, 1057 The Fan. Check us out there, and 1057.com if they'd like to listen online. We're there every day from 2 to 6, Monday through Friday.
Scott, it's a pure pleasure. Our families actually met because you worked with my sister at a lacrosse game several years ago.
I did.
And look forward to talking to you again and seeing
Greg,
you this summer.
Have a good day. Okay.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
Be good.
You too. Scott Garceau right there, one of the legends in broadcasting in Maryland right there, former voice of the Ravens. We're going to take, Ken, let's go ahead and hit up what tees me off, and we'll go to our next guest.
What Tees You Off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
And, of course, also another great sponsor of ours, New Creations by April. Of course, she's relocated, of course, to 1200 North Battlefield Boulevard in the Battlefield shop. She gives great haircuts, foil, ombres, boilage for everyday appointments, special occasions, weddings, hair extensions. She does it all. Go by and see April. Beautiful, wonderful girl. Give her a call right now, 436-HAIR. That's 436-4247 at 1200 North Battlefield Boulevard in the Battlefield shops. Please call by appointments only. In business since 1998. Find her on Facebook. That's New Creations by April. Give her a call at 436-HAIR. She's over in Chesapeake. Everybody needs a haircut as well. All right, let's welcome our next guest in our business spotlight right here on 1650 News Talk. This is Sports Scene from 12 to 1 each Wednesday. Greg Bicavera is talking to Tom Vorlas. Tom, welcome.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Good. We've had you on the radio before in the past as well, Tom. Always a pleasure, of course. And it's March right now. What is going on at the Narrow?
Well, March is, Oscar time. So the Oscars were just last Sunday, and what we've been doing the last few weeks, in addition to the certain specialty films that we've been showing all the Academy Award nominees, and that's what we're still showing for probably the next week and a half or two. For instance, today we have 12 Years a Slave. We have all the Oscar-winning shorts, both the live-action, animated, and documentary. American Hustle, although it did not win. And Gravity and Dallas Buyers Club, those will all be playing for the next week and a half or so.
When you think of iconic places in Norfolk, of course, we had the Tides guest earlier. You got to put the Narrow Theater up there as well, and of course all the great restaurants out there as well. So much to do in downtown Norfolk, and you guys are really a part of that culture and fabric of Norfolk.
Well, we've been very fortunate. We opened the theater back in 1977. It was kind of an abandoned B-movie theater at that time, and we started showing old movies and doing a repertory schedule, and it could only work in Ghent, to tell you the truth. The audience has really embraced us, and people came from all over from Hampton Roads to come to the Narrow to see these movies back in the days before video and really cable had caught on that much. And then, all these restaurants sprung up, and now it's a hot spot in the area. We're very fortunate.
Talking to Tom Vorlas right here on Sports Scene. Greg Bicavera is glad you're with us each Wednesday from 12 to 1 at 12:56 right here on News Talk 1650. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT 1650. Of course, give us your address and all the good stuff.
Well, the Narrow Cinema is located at 1507 Collie Avenue. It's about a little over half a mile north of Collie and Bramilton, right near 21st and Collie. Our phone number is 757-625-6276, where you can get all the movie information. Also, we have a website, narrowcinema.com, and if you want to know what's showing each week, you can also go to the website, and there's a place where you can sign up on our E-list to get weekly updates, and we'll tell you the show times for the following week. And, of course, we do print a program that covers a 2 to 3 month period of all the movies that we plan on showing within that period. And that's been, we've been doing that since we've been open.
And one thing good, too, about the Narrow is it's like a neighborhood place, kind of like the Norfolk Greek Church when you have the Norfolk Greek Festival there. People can just walk right up to it. And, of course, that's what you like about it. As a kid who grew up in Virginia Beach and Newport News both, I just remember when I rode by it was like, wow, that place really stood out. And I know Ken Johnson here, who does some work for it at the Commodore, really appreciates that nostalgic stuff.
Well, that's one of the things that makes us successful is we are in the middle of a pretty affluent neighborhood. And, even now, we did not open on Monday because it was kind of a weird thing with it sleeting in the afternoon, and then we didn't know what it was going to do. It turned out to be a good thing because the roads were pretty treacherous on Monday late afternoon and evening. But, those last few snowstorms that we had back in February, we continued to stay open. We didn't open in the evening, but we did in the daytime, and people would just walk up there and see a movie. And it was, I only live a few blocks away, so it's easy for me just to walk up there and turn on the projector, and here we go.
And you got great concessions too, right?
Yeah, great. We even sell baklava at the concession stand.
Wow, unbelievable. What else do you sell there?
Well, we have, the usual Raisinets and goobers and milk duds and that kind of stuff. But in addition to the baklava, we have brownies and cookies and, no, we don't have hot dogs and pizza and that kind of stuff. And what we like to say is the best popcorn in the state.
Absolutely. All right, Tom, we'll look forward to talking to you about the Norfolk Greek Festival down the road. All the best to you and the people at the Narrow Theater.
And thank you very much, Greg.
Always a pleasure. All right, there, Tom Vorlas. And, of course, Ken, when you talk about things to do, us locals that grew up here, we appreciate those nostalgic hallmark places.
Baklava.
Yeah, put some vanilla ice cream on top of it.
I got to give some kudos, too, to Tom.
Sure.
They've also gone digital, too. Everybody has to go digital as of the first of this
What's
year.
the advantage of that, Ken?
Well, and I want to say, but they've kept the projectors, as Fred has at the Commodore, so they can do everything. They can show videos. They can show the new digital features. They can dig out the old 35s. So they've got it all covered. And they do a great job there, and you've got to try the baklava. It's so good.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just a fun place to be. So if you haven't been to the Narrow Cinema on Colley Avenue, you got to go. It's just a lot of fun, and they do a great job. So big kudos.
Definitely want to reset and recap the show. Of course, we want to thank our great sponsors for the day, Peninsula Custom Framing, also Luigi's Italian Restaurant. Peninsula Custom Framing is in Hampton, Luigi's Italian Restaurant in Newport News, and, of course, New Creations by April at our new location, 1200 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. She's in Chesapeake. Also, our great guests today, Ian Locke, Scott Garceau, and Tom Vorlas. For more, log on to gjbtv.com. That's gjbtv.com. Hit the marketplace sponsors. Shop online. Go browse all the great retail places there. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows as well. And don't forget sports highlights on nnpstv.com. And one more plug, April 12th from 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m., Collegiate Sports Focus. I'll talk to Mitch Brindley, also Karen Barefoot, and Dr. Wood Seelig from Old Dominion. For Ken Johnson and Devontae, I'm Greg Bicaveras. Happy Wednesday, and we'll talk to you soon.